it's Kelsey at QCT. We're getting ready for A Wrinkle in Time to run this weekend, and we had a lot of students send us some really cool questions about our production of A Wrinkle in Time. So I wanted to make sure that you guys got answers. So let's take a look. Your questions were awesome. Question number 1, what is a tesseract? Oh, this is a big question. Okay, so in our story, the tesseract is the way that we can travel through space and through time. And the idea of the tesseract is that if space is like this, then to get from here to here, you'd have to take a really long time. But we can tesseract or wrinkle it, and then the distance isn't quite as far. Now, in science and in math, the tesseract actually means something very, very similar to that. It's kind of like if you had a cube that had 4 dimensions to it. So if that seems really interesting to you, then maybe when you're a little older, you might want to be a mathematician or a scientist who could make a tesseract for real, which would be kind of cool. Yeah. Okay, next question. Where did you get all the names? And also, why didn't you say the name of the monster? Ooh, these are really good questions. And the answer is, I didn't make up any of the names in our play. They all came from our script, which was written by a really cool guy named John Glore, and he wrote that script based on a book by Madeleine L'Engle. And actually, there's a whole series of books that she wrote with these same characters. In fact, I've got one right here that was mine when I was in 4th grade. This is the sequel, A Wind in the Door. And so all of the names of the characters are ones that are from those books, which are really cool. Now, in our story, the monster who we meet, we only get to call it. And in the books, it doesn't get a name either, and so we didn't give him one in our play. And I don't know, because I didn't get to ask Madeleine L'Engle, but I would guess that she called him it to make it a scary monster who we didn't know very much about. That keeps him nice and scary. So these are excellent questions so far. These are great books, by the way. Read them. Hooray. Okay. Question number 4. How did Mrs Whatsit change into her fairy costume? This is really cool. I love this costume. Okay, so here is, first of all, she's not, I know in our story she kind of looks like a fairy or like an angel, but she's kind of just a mythical creature who has a little bit of magic to her. This is the dress she ends up wearing, and how it works is on the inside, there is this part, which is what we see first. And so we fold it up around the actor, and there are these Velcro tabs that go on her shoulders so that it stays closed, and all we get to see is this part. And then when it's time for her to change, as the actor spins around, all she does is she yanks on the Velcro, and it opens it up to the dress that you guys got to see. And she does have wings when she transforms, and those wings are attached right to the back, so it all comes out as one big piece. Now, this was made, when we got the script, it didn't tell us how to make this part. This was made by our costume designer, whose name is Janae, and it's her job, when she reads something like that in a script, to figure out how we can bring it to life in a costume. So, if you're a person who likes making things, then that might be a cool job for you too. Yeah. So that's how we did that part of the story. I like that part a lot. Okay. Next question. Where did you get the masks, and then how did you get the eyes to glow red? These are more really good questions. We also got help from our friend Janae, the costume designer. She made the masks that you see in the show. They all look like this, and believe it or not, these are made out of cardstock like you might have at home. And she got a pattern where she was able to print it out, and all of these pieces were flat cardstock, and it was like a really big puzzle. And so she had to cut them apart very carefully and line up all the lines of the puzzle pieces, and it turned out into a mask just like this. And then she put a little bit of elastic on the back so that the actors can hook that across the back of their heads to wear them. Now, when we meet the man with red eyes, his mask is the same as everybody else's, but it's got a little something extra inside, because the actor who wears this mask doesn't really have red eyes, and so that would be really hard to pull off. So instead, he has some extra things inside his mask. And there are teeny tiny lights that are called LED lights, and they're very small, and they go in the sides right of the eye holes in his mask. They're right about here. And then there's this silver part across the back that reflects it, so that when we see him from the audience, it looks like his eyes are red. Now, somebody had a really cool question and they asked, how can he still see when he's wearing that mask? I'll show you. We'll see if I can get it close enough. There are teeny tiny slivers cut out in that silver part so that he can still see, but from far away, it looks like he has big old red eyes, which I think is kind of neat. So that's a cool thing that we get to use in this show. Okay, the next question, how did you make the brain? The brain is the bad guy in our story, and we had a lot of fun figuring out how to make the brain. I'm sure there are a lot of different ways you can make a brain, but here's the way we picked. Ours is actually a silhouette, and so what we did is we took the shape of the brain. It just looked like this, and then very carefully it got cut out onto a piece of cardboard, and here's the start of another one, a backup brain, if you will. So we cut all of those lines out so that it just makes the shadow shape of a brain. And then we put that shape on what's called an overhead projector. If you don't know what that is, ask your teacher, because they used to be used in classrooms all the time. But that projector puts it up onto our set, and so all you see is the shape of the shadow. And that's how we made it. And what's really cool is that on an overhead projector, you can use the tools in it to get closer and farther. And so we use that to make it look like the brain is pulsing and like it can breathe and hear your thoughts. And that was a really cool and creepy effect to try. And it was with something that a lot of people might have in their schools, which I think is really neat. Okay, and then the last question, who were the people in the play? This is a really awesome question. So the actors who you saw up on the stage are all people who live in our area. And they came from Quincy and Mount Sterling and Pittsfield and all different places because they wanted to be a play and they really liked this story. And so when they came in, they had to first audition, which means they came and they tried out and they read different parts of the play and they tried different things with me. And then from there, we picked the people who we thought could tell the best version of this story, even though there are really a lot of awesome actors. And then with the group they have been meeting since September 6th to get ready, and they've had to practice every day to make sure that by the time you guys saw the show that it was just right and ready to go. And so that's who those people were, and most of them are students who aren't that much older than you. The youngest person in our play is in 3rd grade, and so that means that lots of different people can be actors. And so if you watched that play and you thought that that seems cool to you, there's another one coming up that you can be in too. So thank you for your really awesome questions, and we hope that we get to see you at Quincy Community Theater again soon. And we hope we'll see you this weekend to see A Wrinkle in Time again. Thank you.